Welcome back, everyone. We're on the part 2 of our Shabbat study today. We are going to be doing Ayub, chapter 5. I'll be reading from the Bren Septuagint here, since that's pretty much the only other version you could really find for the book of Ayub, really. Let's see here. Here we go. Chapter 5. And here we go. It says, and let me just make sure we're on recording. Yep, we're on recording. Okay, cool. All right. Just wanted to make sure. But call if anyone will hearken to you, if you shall see any of the set apart angels. Wonder if the Masoretic text says that. The set apart ones. Why don't you have angels there, Masoretic text? Very weird there.
Mine says, into which of the Kadashim would you turn?
Yeah, so people from a New Testament background, they wouldn't even know who it's referring to, whether it's a human or an angel, because it just says set apart ones or Kadashim.
Mm-hmm.
And Septuagint actually says the Kadash angels.
Yeah.
So actually,
Malakim, Kadashim.
yeah, Malakim Kadashim. For wrath destroys the foolish one, and envy slays him that has gone astray. And I have seen foolish ones taking root, but suddenly their habitation was devoured. Now I wonder if this is the Greek word that we see in the book of Job, that's okaterion. I'm kind of interested if that's the Greek word for a metaphoric habitation, like a body.
There was no Greek used in Job.
Let's see. Well, the Septuagint would have been Greek.
Oh, okay. That's right. You're reading Septuagint.
Yeah, I'm just curious if it's the same Greek word from the book of Jude that says habitation. Okaterion in that context would have been a body. But anyway, that's kind of interesting topic by itself. Is let's see here. Where was that verse? Yeah, verse 3. Their habitation was devoured.
It says suddenly his home was cursed in Hallelujah Scriptures.
Yeah, home. Okay. Attractiveness, it says in the Apostolic Bible. Yeah, it's kind of interesting there. Yeah, that's kind of weird. All right, so let me see here. Do I have any Strongs for the original Septuagint here? Greek Old Testament. Where is the Greek Old Testament with Strong's numbers? That's the one I would need. I guess I don't have it. Usually, I would have had that.
Check the Hebrew.
Yeah. Let me see here. The Masoretic Hebrew will say habitation, just the same as the Septuagint. Nava, or naua. Naua, a home, hence implication of satisfaction, lovely. Also, a home of Elohim, yeah. A human body. Yeah, so this is talking what I thought. The same thing as the Greek okaterions. Even though it's the Hebrew, it's very similar to the Greek word in the New Testament in the book of Jude. Very interesting. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to look up. That's very interesting. When it talks about the watchers left their okaterion. So, very interesting. All right, so anyway, let their children be far from safety. Let them be crushed at the doors of vile men, and let there be no deliverer. Interesting.
With no one to deliver is what mine says.
Wow. Okay. Pretty similar. Yeah. Instead of deliver, let no one who can deliver. So that's kind of similar. For what they have collected, the righteous shall eat, but they shall not be delivered out of calamities. Let their strength be utterly exhausted. For labor cannot by any means come out of the earth, nor shall trouble spring out of the mountains. Interesting. Yet man is born to labor, and even so the vultures young seek the high places. Nevertheless, I beseech Yahuwah and will call upon Yahuwah, the King of all. I like that.
Yes.
Who does great things and untraceable, esteem things also and marvelous, of which there is no number. Wow. Who gives rain upon the earth, sending water on the earth? Who exalts the humble and raises up them that are lost? That kind of reminds me of Yahushua in the New Testament, where he says, those that humble themselves will be exalted, and those that exalt themselves will be humbled. Frustrating the counsels of the crafty, and their hands shall not perform the truth. That's interesting. Who takes the wise in their wisdom and subverts the counsel of the crafty? Now that's interesting. That seems like Paul might have been quoting from this in the New Testament, where he talks about, or it might have been Yahushua himself actually saying that, where he talks about that where it talks about the Pharisees and their wisdom, and I forget how it's worded. It's like he outsmarted them according to their craftiness. I'm trying to remember how it's worded, but it seems very similar to something in the New Testament that said, subverts the counsel of the crafty. In the day darkness shall come upon them, and let them grope in the noonday, even as in the night. That's interesting. And let them perish in war, and let the weak escape from the hand of the mighty. And let the have expectation, but the mouth of the unrighteous be stopped. But Baruch, the man whom Yahuwah has reproved or corrected, and reject not thou the chastity of the Almighty. For he causes a man to be in pain and restores him again. He smites and his hands make whole. 6 times he shall deliver you out of distresses, and in the 7th harm shall not touch you. In famine he shall deliver you from death, and in war he shall free you from the power of the sword. He shall hide you from the scourge of the tongue, and you shall not be afraid of coming evils. You shall laugh at the unrighteous and lawless, and you shall not be afraid of wild beasts. Wow. For wild beasts of the field shall be at peace with you. Similar to the book of Daniel there. Kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall
and Isaiah.
Yep.
Isaiah talks about the lion will eat straw like the ox.
Yep. And that a baby will put its arm into a hole, and a snake. Yeah.
And be unaffected.
Yep. The lamb lying down with the wolf. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Then shall you know that your house shall be at peace, and the provision for your tabernacle shall not fail. And you shall know that your seed shall be abundant, and your children shall be like the herbage of the field. And you shall come to the grave like ripe grain reaped in its season. Interesting. Or as a heap of grain flour collected in proper time. Interesting. Behold, we have thus sought out these matters. These are what we have heard. But do you reflect with yourself if you have done anything wrong? So this guy, and I believe this is the Temanite, speaking to Ayub right now, kind of rebuking him a little bit, and, pretty much putting things in perspective. That, basically, that the wicked don't really prosper, and that if you are walking blamelessly with the Father, you are truly seeking to obey the Father, that everything will be well with you, that you will flourish. So he's, in a way, he's trying to encourage Ayub. He's trying to, help him to not feel sorry for himself. in a way, he's correcting him and rebuking him. He's talking about why should a man, not accept the chastening of the Almighty? So again, going back to accepting the tube accepting the bad with the tube with Yahuwah. Sometimes Yahuwah puts us through trials. It's not always going to be rays of sunshine. Sometimes we go through tough times. There's trials we have to go through. So that's kind of what I got from this chapter. It was encouragement from the Temanite to Ayub. I think that's who's talking right now, because the last chapter was the Temanite guy talking, if I'm not mistaken. Eliphaz, the Temanite. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, that's who's actually talking to Ayub right now. So anyone else got anything to add possibly?
Well, he gives a lot of good advice, but the thing is, he isn't to the actual truth, because the truth of the matter is that Job was righteous, and he was being tested by Yahuwah through Satan, his stupid servant, who said, give me your servant, and I'll take away all he has and see if he still serves you. And of course, Job passes, and he does serve Yahuwah.
Yeah. I think it's the human nature to look at someone and to always think that, well, it must be the person's fault that this stuff is happening to them. And I think that's what's happening with this Temanite guy, even though he's trying to be righteous and trying to help Ayub, get out of this mindset that he's in. He's still in a way blaming Ayub, assuming that Ayub did something wrong. And, so
and toward the end, they start really blaming Ayub.
Yeah.
And, it gets worse. And then Ayub just turns to Yahuwah and stops listening to his friends, and Yahuwah just says, were you there when I spread out the earth and the heavens above and laid the foundation and did all my creating? And basically humbled him.
Yeah, and pretty much this Eliphaz guy, he's saying all the right things, but at the wrong time. That's something I wanted to bring out too. He's saying a lot of stuff that's true, but he's kind of like adding salt to the guy's wound. Like, Ayub needs to be encouraged right now, not kind of like rebuked just because he's questioning the father's motives a little bit, and in Eliphaz's mind that Ayub is getting close to sinning, so now he's rebuking him. It's not the time to be rebuking him. That's what I'm trying to say. That's there.
And don't you know a lot of us have that problem?
Yeah,
when a brother or sister is getting hit from all sides. What did you do? What have you done?
Get that beam out of your own eye first.
Yeah. And a lot of times we should be rebuking each other, but at times we rebuke at the wrong time. And there's scripture that says it's like a golden apple, the right words at the right time. So
we don't rebuke persons in trials.
Yeah.
Because trials are there for everyone, and Yahuwah knows how much to give each person, and it's not an indication of you're a bad sinner if you have a lot of trials. Not at all.
You have to remember, he will never put us through something that we can't go through. He won't do that.
Even though it may seem like it. It may seem like, I can't take another. I can't do anything more.
Well, talking about that, Sister Marissa got in a car accident and totaled her car out. So we're both carless right now.
Oh,
Yeah, my transmission went out. She totaled her car on the freeway, and
no. Oh,
you
no.
know,
That's terrible.
yeah. So she's okay. You know, nothing hurt her other than the finances. You know, but she did not get hurt. So you know,
That's
and
wonderful.
very beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
so she's here with us. She's on. I don't know if she's on. I'm in my room real quick. I came to my room, and so she's been here with us. You know, so. But that's a trial, and we, you know, I know that, like I say, Abba only knows what he's doing and why he allows certain things to happen. And I could just say, you know, her car was Prius. Maybe there was something more coming her way, and he just intervened because that Prius can get smashed up, as she could tell, really easily. You know, maybe he was protecting her from something. We don't know. Abba only knows.
Yeah.
Only he knows. Only he knows.
Yeah. It was a very interesting chapter because this kind of, I saw a lot of Yahusha in this chapter too as you get farther on. Like, here's one thing that kind of reminded me of Yahusha was verse 12, where it says, he frustrates the counsels of the crafty, and their hands shall not perform the truth. And I want to find that verse in the New Testament real quick, actually, where Yahusha says something very similar, where he talks about, he puts to shame according to their craftiness. See here. Here we go. 1 Corinthians. Okay, it was Paul. My bad. 1 Corinthians 3:19 says, for the wisdom of the world is foolishness to Elohim. As the scriptures say, he traps the wise in the snare of their own cleverness. So very similar to what we just read in Ayub chapter 5, verse 12. I think Paul might have been quoting from there when he's saying that. Yeah, they actually have a cross-reference of that there. Yeah, so yeah, this Paul might have been actually quoting from Ayub when he was talking about the wisdom of the world and the foolishness that Yahuwah considers it foolishness.
Another thing about this verse in particular is that a lot of translations get it wrong. For instance, Hallelujah Scriptures translates it so that their hands do not work effectively. It leaves out the truth.
Yeah.
I changed it, by the way. I said so that their hands do not work in truth.
Yeah, so the truth, as we can see here, doesn't matter which version you have. I think pretty much every translation has this one correctly, I'm pretty sure. Is Psalms 119, 142, which says, your righteousness is an everlasting, meaning eternal righteousness, and thy law is truth. So whenever you see truth in Scripture, especially in the Tanakh, when you see truth being mentioned, it's obviously talking about the Torah, the law. So it's showing a correlation between foolish people that think they're crafty, think they're smart, they don't perform the law. And that's probably what Paul was referring to too. The foolishness of the world is the craftiness of the world is foolishness to Yahuwah. So, and that's in, let me get the cross-reference for anyone that wants to look it up for themselves, is 1 Corinthians 3:19. So, and that's, to me, that kind of reminded me of that, talking about how he catches them in their craftiness. I think certain verses will say. Yeah, Job 5:13, he catches the wise in their craftiness and sweeps away the plans of the cunning. That's interesting. I wonder what version that is. Let's see. Let's see here. Traps the wise in their cleverness. Schemes are thwarted. Oh, Berean Study Bible. Okay. He catches the wise in their craftiness and sweeps away the plans of the cunning. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty similar to Septuagint, who takes the wise in their wisdom and subverts the counsel of the crafty. Yeah, I like the Berean Study Bible. They put it make it a little bit easier to understand in that verse. So this is where Paul gets it from in 1 Corinthians 3:19, and so you'll see a lot of times. I think there's even a verse where Paul says Yahuwah chose the foolish of this world to put to shame the wise.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of verses like that. It came to mind in the book of Ayub, but also this chapter, it seems like Yahusha there's like a little stuff pointing to Yahusha where it talks about, he makes whole those he touches. I kind of saw a little bit of Yahusha here and there. Let's see here. I found it interesting too. Verse 14 talks about in noonday it would be as if it was darkness, which kind of reminds me of the day of Yahuwah and stuff like that. How, or it's like the opposite on the day of Yahuwah. I'm trying to remember what it says. That it would. I would have to look that up, but I think it's like similar to where it talks about at noontime, at evening time, it would still be light out or something like that. So that kind of reminded me of that, where it says, in the day darkness shall come upon them, and let them grope in the noonday even as in the night. So it's like at noon, it's like dark. Practically, they can't even see. Now, obviously, it's talking about wickedness, but I'm just saying, if you take that literally, it kind of reminds me of like the day of Yahuwah, kind of. And so that was kind of interesting to me.
I thought of Yahuwah or Yahusha personally, actually, in verse 4, when he said that the fool's sons are far from safety, they're crushed in the gate with no one to deliver. Well, we know the deliverer is Yahusha.
Mm-hmm.
If even Yahusha can't deliver them because they're foolish, that's a bad state to be in. Means they can't come to repentance.
Yeah. Let me see here. Or I beseech you, who I will call him the king of all, who does great things, who gives rain upon yeah, this is another one that I saw Yahusha in here, verse 11, who exalts the humble and raises up them that are lost. So again, you got those that exalt themselves will be humbled, and those that are humble will be exalted. So that kind of reminded me of what Yahusha says in the Brit Hadashah, Ayub chapter 5, verse 11 there. So that's kind of interesting. So let's see here. If there was anything else I found interesting, it says, let the weak have expectation, but the mouth of the unrighteous be stopped. I found that to be interesting too. So let the mouth of the wicked be shut. So let's see here. Oh yeah, verse 17 I think is the last one I wanted to remind people of here. It says, do not reject the chastening of the Almighty, in verse 17 here. So that is a big lesson, that when we feel like Yahuwah is punishing us and he's reproving us, we should not reject his chastening, because he chastens the children that he loves. So
in this case, Ayub was not being chastened. And that's where he had it wrong.
Yeah, and that's where assumption comes into play, and
yeah,
he obviously he doesn't discern or see things that are happening in the heavenly realm. He doesn't. This guy Eliphaz the Temanite, he doesn't realize that Ayub's being tested, so he doesn't. He's just looking at it at a carnal human view of what's going on, and he's looking at it in his view that Ayub is just complaining. He's murmuring, complaining. He's, he's feeling sorry for himself. Even
I have a thought.
Yep.
I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is that it was a lesson for all to see how Yaakov was going to handle it. So I think that's the big lesson there, is that, here they wanted him to curse and he stood strong, that no matter what, his faith, and he had, it's a story that we know of today that gives us hope, and it's for a future lesson for all of us, that no matter what, as we're living through this world, that it is the heart of man that counts. And what do we do when we face trials and tribulations, just like Yahushua did? Did he curse God? Did he cuss God out? Did he tell his father, why did you do this to me? Why, you know what I mean? No. Let thy will be done, and this is the same attitude that we should have. And this is this story of Yaakov that went throughout many centuries and centuries and centuries. It is a test of faith. It is also a character, integrity. All of it's there for us to see. If he could go through this, we could go through this. If everything was taken from him, and we all have families that are not serving the well, we all have families that are doing their own thing, that live large in this life. And I think the children of Yaakov, that they were living very large in this life. And he was broken, and he was praying for his children every day, and yet the father took them. And he allowed that to happen. He allowed that destruction to come upon him. And yet Yaakov was blessed beyond measure, doubled what he had already had, because we
You mean Job?
I call him Yaakov.
Yeah.
I call him Yaakov. And that's Ayub, however you guys call it. But
yeah.
Ayub.
Yeah, and so I think that is the lesson. I believe that is for us today, because we're all living Yaakov's lifestyle somewhere, somehow. We live amongst many that will say, curse Yahuwah, because, look what you're going through, just the fact that I have survived 3 times cancer and I'm still here. I am ready to go home now. I am ready to go home now. I want to go home when he calls me. I'm ready to go, but until then, I will be busy, and I will do what I can. And it is not, I'm not a perfect walker. I want to be so bad with all my heart, but this is true life. This is cutting the fat of the land off. This is curving, making us to stand in times when it is very difficult. And it's, the fat of the land would want us to go cry and ask,
Sadie,
yes,
get on the wheatgrass ASAP. That will kill the cancer.
Oh yeah, I believe, Father, I believe he's delivered me from it, and I'm already since 2009, and I haven't had no sign of that again.
Okay. Good.
I will get on. I love wheatgrass. I put that in my smoothies. It is what I think what Yahuwah is doing right now is the same thing he did to Job, is what we're all going through. But what he's doing is he's bringing us back to wholesome, because now everything is contaminated. The cows, the chickens, the meat, it's contaminated.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible.
He's bringing us a lot of people. If you talk to, I have a lot of Torah groups, tons, and they're all starting to wake up and no more meat, or some say I'm going vegetarian, very little. I'll stick to kosher chickens and the meat. They see where their cows are coming from. They see that they're grass fed, messed up at all. So I hear that, but people are searching and seeking for what is good. We have to in these days for us to be able to survive. Because only Abba knows how, tomorrow is promised to no man. You guys were reading earlier about long life because you have honored your parents. Well, I know that there's people out there that have honored their parents and have gone before their time. And I don't know why. And I can't figure that out. Those two things, make me think, you know what I mean? I say, well, 60, okay, Father, then somewhere down the line, I did something good because I'm at 60 and a half. And somewhere he is I'm here. So
Mhm.
I try my best to honor my parents. It's very hard when they are the ones that are nailing you to the stake. It's very
Oh
hard.
yeah.
It's very hard when your family it turns against you. And they say things about you to your own children, which is very, very disheartening. But I just leave it to Yahuwah. He knows. He knows all things. And you know what? People might take advantage of us, but you know what? It's not without being jotted down. It's not without the Father watching. It's not without the Father saying, "Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I got your back. Don't worry.
Mhm.
I see what they're doing to you." It is how I take it. Do I pray for them? Do I pray for them like Yaakov prayed for his family that was party and party? He still went and he
Yeah.
prayed, what are we doing for those who are persecuting us? Are
Mhm.
we doing the same thing? This is the most important thing that we got to know, you guys. Job had a very good lesson for all of us. To pray for those who harm us, those who don't seek Yahuwah, those who think that their lifestyle it's nothing but a party. I'm sorry it's not there.
Right.
And the sad part that we fight is that this is a story that's been going on since the beginning of time. So when you tell an elderly person, well, the Father's coming, oh, we've heard that since we were babies. We always heard that. And he hasn't come yet. Well, guess what? He's that much closer.
Mhm.
That was for you guys to raise us up in the ways of Yahuwah, but you guys didn't. And now you sit here and you want to mock that. You've had 60 years of time to repent and to do what's right. And you know what? Even though they haven't, if they changed their mind from one day to the next and they repented wholeheartedly and said, you know what? I was wrong. I know that Yahuwah would forgive them. I know that he would. But their duty would be, I say, that all the seeds that you have planted against us, the seeds that you have planted, and who is in us, Yahushua HaMashiach, those seeds that were planted against Yahushua, you got to repent. You got to handle it. And it's not about us personal. We got to take that personal thing out. But it's hard. It's reality. Reality is we do take it personal. But it's not upon us. It's upon the one who lives within us that they have hurt. Yes, we might cry. Yes, it might hurt us. But guess who they are? Who are they talking about? Who are they condemning? It is the one who lives within us, his breath of life. They're messing with our Father. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. Give them knowledge. Give them wisdom to understand. And we got to stand like Yaakov, because he's one of our greatest examples of from the Tanakh, and he's an excellent example. And then Yahushua comes and he just puts a cherry on top of the cake, and so we
Yeah.
just got to realize,
Yeah.
we have examples. We have examples, family. We have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great, sis. That was great. I wanted to just mention one thing before we're about to get cut off in 4 minutes, so I do want to fit this in. I found another cross-reference to Ayub 5:22 reminded me of Psalms chapter 2, verse 4, because it says in Ayub 5:22, you shall laugh at the unrighteous and the lawless, and you shall not be afraid of wild beasts. That reminded me of Psalms chapter 2, verse 4, where it says, Yahuwah, he that dwells in the heavens shall laugh them to scorn, and Yahuwah shall mock them. So talking about us laughing at the unrighteous, how Yahuwah laughs and mocks at the wicked. So it's kind of interesting because Yahusha in the New Testament says, be perfect like your Father who in heaven is perfect. So it's kind of like we're supposed to have the same character as Yahuwah and as Yahusha, to not really let the wicked get us down. Just laugh at them, because in a way they're totally deceived and they totally don't even get it. So we should kind of just laugh at them and kind of just look at it like they're clueless. You know, they try to attack us, they try to persecute us, and they don't even realize they're, you know, that Satan is pimping them out.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
Satan
even,
is using them against us.
you know.
They don't know it.
They don't know it. Yeah.
So that's what I kind of wanted to end with. Any of our brothers and sisters out there that are feeling down lately, you know, always being persecuted by non-believers, by people that love being in their sin, don't worry about it. Just laugh at it. Just laugh at them. You know, they don't even know what they're doing half the time. They're going by whatever spirit is causing them to do that. You know, we don't battle flesh and blood. We got to keep reminding ourselves that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these people are blind. It's the blind leading the blind. So just remember that. Don't let them get you so angry and upset. You know, so thank you for joining us, though, and hopefully you got something out of this. That was Ayub, chapter 5, and hopefully there was a lot we can learn from this and apply this to our daily life, and just try our best not to allow life to get us down. Try our best to remind ourselves, you know, if we truly love the Father, obey the Son, things are going to work out. There might be tough times, but at the same time, Yahuwah keeps us out of harm's way. He protects us. So hopefully that's encouragement for anyone that's listening in. Thank you for joining us today. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.